بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله وعلى أهل بيتك المعصومين المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء، يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. To hasten the reappearance of our Imam صاحب العصر والزمان، صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. An individual might experience a life-threatening problem but never know about it. They see some symptoms, so they go to the professional. They seek the professional for advice. They go to the doctor and they expect the doctor to be extremely transparent with them and tell them exactly what's wrong, especially if the problem was a major one and if the doctor was trustworthy. This is when it comes to the physical and the medical issues that we experience in life. There are other components in life that pose a threat, and they have the ability to infiltrate and attack our beliefs and our moral guidelines. Just like there's someone responsible to tell us about the problems that we face medically, there's also people that are responsible to advise us when there is a threat towards our religion, our beliefs, and our moral guidelines. Now, if a person doesn't understand the severity of a problem, they don't understand how important it is, they can never find a solution for it. Just like a person that's experienced an injury, they might go put a bandage on this injury, but in fact, a surgery is required. In order for anyone to solve any issue, they need to understand how severe the problem is. That's number one. Number two, the hardest part of any problem, if it's a medical problem or a life-threatening problem or a religious problem, whatever it is, the hardest part of that problem is actually identifying it. You need to diagnose the situation. If a diagnosis is not performed, then you cannot know what's wrong. If you do not know what's wrong, you can't accept it. The hardest part of any situation is knowing what's wrong and accepting it. Just like a medical problem. They say some of the cancers, may you all be free of them. They say some of them, you will not find out about them until it's too late. And no one wants the situation to get to that stage where it's too late and beyond saving. That's why when it comes to issues with our religion, with our beliefs, we must understand what they are early on so that it doesn't become too late. Now, after we understand what the problem is, here is where we need to find a solution and counter-attack this problem. We need to attack it and solve it before it overcomes us. You look at A problem, let's go back to the medical example. If you do not cure it, it's going to take over your body. Sooner or later, the person dies. When it comes to our beliefs, when it comes to our religion, if there's a problem and we do not solve it quickly, then sooner or later, that problem is going to become bigger and beyond rescue. A person that doesn't pray, they might not pray for a while. They can go back to praying. The longer they leave it, the harder it becomes to go back to it. So, if we do not solve the issue quickly, that issue will overcome us. And when that issue overcomes us, the next generations will look at this generation, at us, and they will curse us because we didn't do anything about this problem. Now, another thing that makes this problem very difficult is the enemy. Who's this enemy? The enemy is something and someone that presents himself as a friend. Doesn't present himself as an enemy. Doesn't say, I'm here to destroy you and your religion. The enemy is a person that's presented well. They're good, comes to you looking like they're good-mannered, well portrayed. And a lot of people, instead of looking at this person as an enemy, they look at him as a friend. And that's one of the techniques of Iblis. The problems we're talking about are the problems we face, and the enemy is usually Iblis. Iblis comes to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, Iblis is your enemy. The shaitan is your enemy. So treat him as an enemy. But unfortunately, he presents himself as anything but an enemy. And that's why people get deceived. Now, tonight we commemorate a great lady, Sayyidah Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. This lady had many noble characteristics. Much more than I can ever list here. She was strong. She was brave, honest, pious. She was patient with everything she had going on. She was a caring mother to her children. She was a loving wife to her husband. Along with all of this, she had an obligation. She found herself in a situation that she had to stand up for what was right. And if she didn't, then people would have found it much more difficult to distinguish between what's right and what's wrong. If it wasn't for her stance in speaking to the people and telling them about her rights that were taken, a lot more people these days would have found it hard to understand what her rights were. If it wasn't for her stance, some people might have not understood how the rights of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib were usurped. She found herself in a position where she needed to raise awareness for a problem. Now, today's topic was supposed to be a whole topic about the woman and how the identity of the Muslim woman, and you can apply many of these lessons to the man and the woman. But the topic tonight, because we are commemorating Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, the topic is about the woman. The topic was supposed to be today just about women, but we have to divide it in half. Inshallah, we'll talk about some of it today and some of it tomorrow, inshallah. Tonight we'll talk about how the colonial powers that invaded countries, why and how they directed their attention to attack the woman. Why did they do that? That's going to be the first question we look at today. And tomorrow, we will look at the strategies, how they did that, and some lessons from the life of Fatima Zahra alayha salam that helped each and every woman deal with these problems. We will begin after Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. When the colonial powers went and invaded the countries, especially the Muslim countries, they realized one thing very quickly. They realized that the Muslim societies and the Muslim communities, they are communities that are extremely hard to break through. They quickly realized this. But at the same time, they quickly found a way around this. What was the way they found? They found out that in order to rewrite the society, they must rewrite the role of the woman. If they can rewrite the role of the woman and confuse the woman, if the woman becomes corrupt, then the household becomes corrupt. A higher chance for the household to become corrupt. If a household becomes corrupt, then the society becomes corrupt. They realized this very quickly, that the woman is the backbone of the society. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, امرأة صالحة خير من ألف رجل غير صالح. One righteous and pious woman is better and more effective than 1,000 non-righteous men. What is the Imam telling us here? Let's think about it. Let's diagnose this hadith. The Imam is not giving us an equation that one woman equals this. No, it's not an equation. The Imam is telling us there's a special characteristic in a woman. If it is found, then she is better than 1,000 men with a specific characteristic. One righteous woman, better and more effective for the community, for the household, for the society than 1,000 men. Let's think of this through some examples, some analogies. What's the role of a woman? The role of a woman can be explained different ways. But some of the main roles of a woman and some of the places you will see the woman take part in most communities is what? Is managing the household. Imagine if this woman that manages a household, and again, as I said, the same thing can be said about the man. But our topic today is about the woman. Imagine this woman that's managing the household. If this woman becomes unrighteous, what happens to the household? It crumbles to the ground. Imagine this. You've got a router. Everyone's got a router, a modem in the house. Imagine a router inside a house. This router protects you from viruses, protects you from malware. They protect you from illicit images, protects the household from anything that is bad for it. And then outside the house, you have 1,000 laptops, iPhones, iPads, all kinds of devices that are negative, that are bad. These devices are all fancy, but they provide a lot of viruses. They throw a lot of malware towards the house. They throw illicit images, illicit content, misinformation. Which one's more important? That router that's protecting the household from all this misinformation and all this content that is illicit, or the 1,000 flashy devices? The router that's protecting the household is much more effective. Why? Because it's directly protecting this household. The woman is the same thing. The woman protects the household from negative behavior, keeps the good behavior inside, keeps the good morals inside, keeps the bad morals outside, protects the children from indecencies, protects the children from bad friends. That's what a woman does. So no matter how many unrighteous men are outside, as the Imam says, 1,000. As long as there's one righteous woman, that is enough to protect the house. Another example, you've got one school teacher. This school teacher teaches 30 students every year. Every year, 30 students. Teaches them good behavior, good morals, kindness, courage, and patience, and teaches them the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Ahlul Bayt. And then you have 1,000 people online, 1,000 influencers teaching these students, these boys and girls, something else. Who is more effective? The teacher is dealing with the student on a daily basis. If the teacher does the job correctly, then the teacher is more effective. In the same way, doesn't matter how much the influencers post, whatever they say, whatever they think, whatever they believe, as long as they're being protected with the ideas of this teacher that's religious. I'm talking about a religious teacher that teaches you your religion and good morals. Then you are protected. Who is more effective? The one good teacher or the 1,000 influencers? The one good teacher, Hassan. In the same way, the mother has a classroom, and that's the house. Sometimes they have a real classroom. Sometimes they have a group of girls they look after. This woman is much more effective than anything else that happens outside of these circles. And the Western societies and the colonial powers quickly understood this. They understood if you want to infiltrate the Muslim communities and the Muslim societies, then you must approach it through the backbone, the woman. They used the woman as a Trojan horse. Who knows the story of the Trojan horse? There was a city named Troy. This city was unbreakable. There was enemies trying to infiltrate, enter this city for long periods of times. They weren't able to. So what did they do? They thought of many different ideas. One day they thought, we'll create a big horse out of wood, place the soldiers inside, and gift this wooden horse to the city of Troy. They did that. They allowed the horse to come in. That night, the soldiers came out and they infiltrated the city from the inside. And this is exactly what the colonial powers understood. And this is why they employed all of their strategies to try and infiltrate the Muslim community from the inside. This is our topic for tonight. Inshallah, tomorrow night, we'll continue with the strategies they used and how we can learn from the lessons of Fatima Zahra alayha salam to counter-attack these strategies. هذا والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين